Fat Man Collectibles.
What's going on, everybody? I'm back after a 2-year hiatus. I'm back on YouTube trying to get back in the swing of things. You know, life happens, a lot of stuff happens, but we're not really going to get into that. But just know I am back. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. So I thought a good way for me to really get back into it is to start giving you guys book reviews. So I'm a reader. I enjoy reading. I don't read as much as I would like to, or as much as I used to. I used to read quite a bit. But now I have a new goal set for the rest of the year. I'm going to try and read 2 books a month. I think that's pretty reasonable for me. And so I'm going to kick that off. And the first book that I finished after I started this challenge was The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've never really read a fantasy novel. I haven't. And I've always wanted to give fantasy a shot. So I was in the Barnes and Noble and I was looking, they had a fantasy table laid out, and I was looking at the table, and one of the workers there, I forgot his name. I would shout him out if I remembered his name. He recommended, he first thing he asked me, he said, well, do you like violence? I said, yeah. So I don't mind violence. It doesn't bother me at all. He said, try this book out. It's considered more of a grim, dark fantasy, but Joe Abercrombie does violence very well. Boy, does he. Boy, does he. The action scenes in this book are amazing. They're some of the best action scenes I've ever read, and the way he writes them, he's very descriptive, and you could really feel like you're there and you're watching the battle happen. It was just like he writes violence very very well, and this if you like action, this is the book to get. So I'm not gonna lie, before I got this recommendation, I never heard of Joe Abercrombie. I didn't, and that's probably gonna, people are like, hey, I don't know who Joe Abercrombie is. I wasn't deep in the fantasy genre, so of course, you know, I know about guys like Tolkien, and that's pretty much the only fantasy guy I can think of right now, for being honest. And then I started learning about all the other guys. So this book for me, I thoroughly enjoyed this. This was a great read. What really helped me speed up the process, because I don't really have a lot of time to read when I get home from work, is the audiobook. And I will say the audiobook for this novel I think is fantastic. Give it a try if you have a job like me where you're driving around all day and you have time to listen to, I wouldn't say the radio, but you hook up your Bluetooth and all that stuff. So this book on Goodreads, I gave it 4 stars, and we'll kind of touch on that a little bit. I'm not going to dive too deep into it because I don't want to really give anything away. Just kind of quick little brief summary of how I felt about it. The thing about this book, if you're going to give it a try, you have to understand that this is the first book in a series. And I'm excited to read the rest of the series. The day after I finished this book, I went out and I bought the other 2 in the trilogy. And this is the second one, this is the third one. So I'm gonna start this here pretty soon. And I understand that it's a part of a, this is the First Law trilogy, but I guess the universe, they refer to it as the First Law. I guess there's these first 3 books, then there's 3 standalones, and then there's a new or newer trilogy that is called The Age of Madness. So I'm excited to dive into this. So if you understand that going into reading this, you're gonna enjoy this book, and it's gonna be really good because there's not a huge like plot, and this book is really just setting up the universe. It's introducing you to the characters, setting up the characters, and towards the end of the book, you're really starting to understand everyone's motives and what their goals are and everything like that. You know, I didn't really hate any of the characters. I think they're all written pretty well. If I had to pick someone I didn't like, you know, towards the end of the book, Luther kind of started rubbing me the wrong way. But here's what's great about Abercrombie's character building is one of the characters when the book started off that I really didn't think was going to be my favorite one. And I'm not going to lie, when his chapters popped up, I kind of was like, ugh. Yeah, I'll roll my eyes. But probably towards the middle and towards the end of the book, he actually ended up being one of my favorite characters to read. And he was one of the most interesting ones to me towards the end. If anyone who's read this knows who I'm talking about, talk about Glotka, Inquisitor Glotka. And I did enjoy Logan. Logan, you know, when the book started out and, you know, you're the action and everything, I was really a big fan of his. But I think towards the end of the book, I don't know, he kind of, something about him just kind of started, I was like, I don't really know how I feel about Logan anymore. But that last scene, that last action scene, I think it's like the second or third to last chapter in the book with him and that Pharaoh. I think that's how you say her name, Pharaoh. That whole chapter was just phenomenal. So the action, like I said, the action, this book does not lack any action. So I recommend this. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. Good reads. Just remember when you're reading this, it is the first book in a trilogy. So as long as you keep that in mind, you're gonna enjoy this book. If you're into fantasy, if you're not a fantasy reader, if you don't like violence, if you don't like, the only way I could describe it is if you don't like the show Game of Thrones, like that kind of violence and kind of not sexual content, because there's not really a lot of sexual content in here, but it's a very mature world. It's a mature book, and if you're fine with all that and you enjoy that, this is going to be a great read for you. If you're someone, and there's people out there that don't enjoy reading violence and aren't big fans of violence, this book's probably not going to be for you. But, you know, for this being my introduction to fantasy, I'm excited. Like I said, I have the other 2, and I went and bought a few more fantasy novels that I'm excited to check out as well. So that's my brief kind of ramble summary about the book. I kind of just went into this cold, I'm not gonna lie. So, you know, drop a comment, drop a like. If you're not subscribed, you know, please help me out. Subscribe, you know. The point of this channel, I just like talking about stuff I want to talk about, you know. So, thank you all for joining me. If you stayed this long, I'm trying to get back in the swing of things, and this is really fun. This is really fun for me. So I appreciate you all. I will see you in the next video.